I'm talking about former Chief Justice of Nepal. I'm talking about the person who is going to lead the interim government if everything falls in place. Student leaders had a 4-hour virtual meet in which former Chief Justice Sushila Karki has been named by these Gen Z leaders to lead interim government. She has confirmed her willingness to take the job. She is the only woman to have held the job of Chief Justice in Nepal. Young protesters also said that affiliated political parties should not participate in discussion with army. Now the big question is how Karki will lead Nepal. Muhammad Yunus too was brought in like this in Bangladesh, but interim government continues to stay put in Dhaka till date, defying its original mandate. So she is the woman of the movement, Sushila Karki. I'm joined by my guest, S.D. Muni, author and Professor Emeritus, School of International Studies. Thank you so much. Lokraj Baral, former Ambassador of Nepal to India. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me. Two very young voices, Sachin Timul Sinha, youth leader, Nepali Congress Party, and Priyadarshini Khanal, Gen Z protester. Thank you. Let me take an opening comment from Professor Muni. Sir, this just reminds me of Dhaka, whereby Muhammad Yunus' name came about. Everyone was taken by surprise. Your opening comment on the consensus the Gen Z crowd has reached on the Sushila Karki.
Well, I think in my mind, this is a much better choice because the names which were circulating earlier were of Balin Shah on the one hand, Ravi Lamechan on the other, Mr. Gurung, who is the youngsters leader. All these names are good, but there are little problems with each one of them. Ravi Lamechan has corruption charges on him. He was in the prison, and as you know, prison was broken to bring him out, and with him came many other criminals also outside. But he has not been cleared of the charges put on him about the corruption. Balin Shah is young, has a very independent image there, but some of the statements which he has been making against the Oli government, which is understandable, but even in terms of the actions which he pleaded extremities, he has no political affiliation, no political party supporting him, and uh, less of experience. Now, as against this, Sushila Karki has a very clear, clean image and an independent image, and she had taken very bold decisions in during her tenure. But she also doesn't have the political experience, so it is quite possible that she would be led both by the youth leaders on the one hand, and to some extent, I mean, I don't expect that too much. Also, army, which will really control the situation,
Okay.
because without that, it would not be possible for her to govern. And I think, with sane advice coming to her from whatever sources it does, perhaps she would be able to manage the interim arrangement.
Okay.
Just one more,
Let me
that
just take.
interim
Sir,
arrangement is only for
mhm.
holding elections, and
Okay.
if she can draw an election plan, good enough.
Okay. Let me take a younger response. Priyadarshini, why, why Sushila Karki?
So amidst all the chaos that's happening, and thank you very much for inviting me first and foremost, definitely. So amidst all the chaos, we are looking for a caretaker government to implement reforms and to actually give us what we're looking for, that is stability, accountability, justice, and anti-corrupt government. So we're looking for that. And Susila Karki definitely. Now, what we're talking about is the state's leader, someone who can actually have the leadership capacities, someone who can actually lead. And for that, we just not just young bloods or bloods that are boiling, but we also require experience, knowledge on that realm. So amidst all the political unrest right now and PM's Oli's resignation and everything that has happened, why Gen Z protests are endorsing Susila Karki is because they fear we are favoring a non-partisan, a trusted figure capable of building country towards stability, right? So we're not looking for a political individual coming up front and representing any of the political ideology or any of that is prevailing since like 30, 40 years in the context of today. So her non-partisan image and judicial background position makes her, like, we perceived her as an ideal figure right now. See, he has been an unbiased mediator, and she
Okay.
has a political polarization. So
Okay.
that also aids on us deciding that Susila Karki might be the next figure that can actually lead for interim time.
Okay. Mr. Baral and Sachin, please wait. Let me take my guess through what happened today. Just to give an overview to our larger audience, what has happened in Nepal in last 72 hours. I mean to say last 72 hours has been very, very different for Nepal, violent. And these are the pictures which are telling us the real story. The Gen Z protests in Nepal has left behind a fiery aftermath. The violence didn't abate even after Prime Minister Oli stepped down. Though there is calm on the street, what began as demonstrations escalated into a coordinated attack on symbols of authority. In Kathmandu, protesters vandalized and set to fire homes of politicians, government offices and hotels. The scale of destruction was unprecedented. Protesters set fire to the parliament, the Prime Minister's residence and part of the Singha Darbar. Parts of the federal parliament were reduced to ashes. The five-star Hilton Hotel in Kathmandu was charred with burnt windows and there was structural damage. The presidential palace too was not spared by the protesters. So if you look at Kathmandu before and after, it tells you a very sordid story.
ये देश हमारा है, ये जिंजी लोग का देश है, ये नेता लोग सब भाग गया, ये नेता लोग काम चोर है, भ्रष्टाचारी है।
जो ये जो हुआ है ना, ये इतना कुछ ये सोशल बैंडिंग के लेके नहीं हुआ है। हम लोगों को चाहिए यूथ लीडर चाहिए। अब हम लोग परिवर्तन खोज रहे हैं। ये बूढ़े लोग है ना, ये बूढ़े लीडर है ना, वो हम लोग का अब वक्त हो गया है। अब नहीं चाहिए, हमारा यूथ चाहिए।
अब स्टूडेंट को ऐसे तरीके से मारेंगे तो कौन सा देश चलेगा? ये सब बहुत क्रूरल देश जैसा हो गया, क्रूरल शासन हो गया है। ये तो ओली का शासन ऐसा नहीं चलता है, कोई देश में ऐसा नहीं चलता है।
Okay, and now let me take you through a short history of Nepal. How did the modern Nepal we know came about? In 1768, Nepal was unified by King Prithvinarayan Shah, who founded the Kingdom of Nepal. In 1846, the reigns of Ranas began, establishes hereditary prime ministers, sidelining monarchy. In 1951, end of Rana rule happened and restoration of Shah monarchy. In 1959, Nepal holds democratic elections, but King Mahendra dissolves government in 1960. In 1961, King Mahendra bans political parties, consolidates power under the new panchayat system. In between 1960 and 1990, panchayat system centralizes royal power. First Jan Andolan forces Biren to restore multi-party democracy in 1990. In 1996, Maoist insurgency begins, aiming to overthrow monarchy. 2001, Crown Prince Dipendra kills King Birendra, triggering shock over royal massacre. 2006, Second People Movement leads to end of absolute monarchy and peace talks with Maoists. 2008, monarchy abolished, Nepal becomes a federal democratic republic. 2008, Gyanendra steps down. 2015, new constitution adopted, restructuring Nepal into 7 provinces. 15-16, KP Sharma Oli becomes Prime Minister for the first time. Now let me take you through a list of fallen heroes, and let me remind you that it is only in 50s that Nepal became a Hindu Rashtra. Before that, Nepal was a Hindu society. So that is also very important. Now these are the fallen heroes. The old guard, KP Sharma Oli, CPN UML chairman, resigned as Prime Minister. Bishnu Prasad Paudal, former Finance Minister and Deputy PM, resigned with Oli. Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachand, former Prime Minister, CPN Maoist Center chairman. Gen Z views him as part of the old guard. Sher Bahadur Deuba, former Prime Minister, Nepali Congress President, home torched in protest. Babu Ram Bhattarai, former Prime Minister, 2 lakh smart space, but these are the people associated with the old guard. Earlier, when the discontent rose against one government, another leader would step in, elections would be held, power kept rotating between Oli, Deuba and Pachanda.